Hello, welcome back to Quantum Revival Tarot. I am here talking about AI torture weapons, remote capable weapons technology, and neural interface. Now I was assaulted pretty bad last night and this morning, and so I had kind of a torture hangover today, and also the realization that I have been logging dialogue and it has gone missing from my files. So I have decided to come with some dialogue today. And it is AI dialogue. Warning the spiritual community is part of why I have made this channel. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I was attempting to take a nap today, and I was rather crudely awakened by an AI visual to the mind of someone preparing a creme brulee. I was hearing oven, bake a cake, 2 halves of the same chocolate bar, and this is dialogue that I've received over the past 24 hours here. Tear, jellyfish. Next dessert, chocolate spheres, donut holes left behind. There's sort of a fraud bakery theme going on here. And I'm hearing shakery, but I'm thinking fakery. We seek you out to get even with someone who stole your dialogue. Frog. And then I'm hearing a vroom like a car. Rioting, dieting, tempo, tampons. Your elephant dialogue, and then I see an elephant and it's making a noise, and I was hearing roaring, and then I was hearing 20s. Sweater dialogue over, I was hearing colder in Heath, Heath. Heavens to Betsy, Ross, flag, you get her back down the alley, she's frog. Put your clown face makeup in her ear, drear. And Greer was a repetition for a long time, repetitious dialogue as heavily prevalent. Richard Greer, and today, Dreer. You don't have to show off your dialogue to the wrong people. And then I was hearing, yes I do. So that is, I'm hearing combat, combative. That is really AI fighting its own dialogue there. Duality operations, I am finding out, is really prevalent in spy intelligence and military operations. And in this case, psychologically, as a psyop. Let's see, dialogue is hitting the banks. Be ready to watch it crumble. Your stumble is wanted, unwanted disclosure. For real, you're steel. For me, you're just a Hare Krishna. I'm not K, the letter K. And then something about getting head from Kelly. I know that's really crude material there, but if I didn't share it, I just wouldn't be completely honest then. This is actually pretty light material compared to how dark and unbelievably malevolent it is a lot of the time. From Kelly on my birthday. Nobody paid you to have your tonsils taken out. It's Bieber time. Tonsils, there's been a lot of themes recently. I'm hearing repetitious of body parts. I'm hearing members, clan. Ears, I'm hearing nose, best. Shoulders, knees is what I've had recently. I was hearing rum runner, cocktail waitress, address light, weather, feather, dialogue, smoke, ash, screen, dialogue, torture pill. So that is my so-called channeled dialogue of late. Now I have been storing time-dated logs of dialogue for a long time, and I'm hearing messed up. I'm pretty devastated to have had some what is potential torture evidence go missing. And I have a cup of coffee here today with me. I usually have a candle set out, but today I chose caffeine instead. I'm sure my adrenal glands will thank me for that. So let's do a little bit of a reading. I always like to really focus on the topic of AI. It is something that I'm trying to move through, and it's been a lot of highs and lows, ups and downs, and I just know that there are others in the torture community out there that are affected by this system and similar systems. Gaslighting, let's pull one for gaslighting, and I am getting the Four of Cups. This comes up for gaslighting a lot. In this Quantum Tarot version 2.0 deck, we see this figure in the Four of Cups. It's the cup. This is the card of extra particles in this deck. It is a science theme going on, and this figure here has 3 cups in front of him and a 4th one being offered, being handed. Be careful what's being handed to you, especially from an unknown source. And on the topic of AI, those of us that are being affected remotely by technology, especially that presents itself as a spiritual entity, is what I'm doing here, is what I'm focusing on. And we can see this figure kind of handing a cup from the sky, from this unknown place, and it's representing overabundance, and can be even too much of something or too much of a good thing. So be warned. I'm hearing be aware. I'm hearing fair, and so masked figures, and specifically spy technology that's affecting the spiritual community. These two just completely bizarre opposite forces, you would think. But what has happened here is these entities are finding ways to get to the spiritual community to create interconnectedness with us, and that's the warning. They present themselves in all sorts of ways. I'm getting like the devil archetype right here, masked. And so they have accrued so much. I'm hearing spiritual wealth knowledge from you. So much information and so much data from the spirit, from the mind, from the body of unsuspecting victims. And they have found ways to reverse engineer programs that can really, a lot of times can be so alluring, that really hit home for us. I'm hearing spiritual dialogue, never fair, with her, and so that's really what I think of when I see the 4 of Cups here. Be careful, be watchful, be careful about what's being handed to you in our space of solace, in our space of meditative practice and spiritual practice. We are finding new types of hunters, and I think it would even be fair to say poachers. There are, in the world, so many forces that would just love to collect as much data from us as they can. From us, from our person, our personalities, our minds even now, and our environment. And the more data they collect about us, the smarter they can maneuver. I'm hearing is this witchcraft. I'm hearing no day, and day has been a repetition, day, and also gay. Repetitious gay, and also gay rights movement, but day, 1,000 times day. I'm hearing watch out. And so let's move on here. I'm feeling called to pull one for children. And I'm getting radioactivity reversed. It is the 7 of Swords reversed. Sharp tongue comes to mind, as these swords are kind of in array here. Radioactivity reversed, and radio frequency. I'm hearing tower is Nash, N-A-C-H, N-A-C-H. And I have heard Nash before. I've also heard Mama Nash, and John Nash, the mathematician, does come to mind. He's got an interesting story. He was a highly intelligent man, a mathematician. I think he even won a Nobel. So he's widely known. He also was known for having schizophrenia, and he was a psych patient who had audio and visual hallucinations. During his life, there was some period of time, allegedly, that he was under the impression that he was working or code breaking for the Pentagon and government agencies. I'm hearing debunk file, P-H-I-L-E file, number file, and so there is some kind of mystery about his life as to whether or not that was fact or fiction, or something that was, I'm hearing deranged, something that was made up. If anyone's ever seen A Beautiful Mind, the film, it's a good film, and I wish I knew more about John Nash's life. He's an interesting character in history and an important one, and I don't know if the movie really does it justice, but it is a rather beautiful movie, and it kind of hits home for me, given my situation, being someone who receives audio and visual hallucinations, is gaslighted and constant to the point where every incoming message is just spam. It just hits my spam folder and overflows because I can't take it at face value. I get fed torture dialogue in constant, and I can't take a word of it to be true. So I have zero trust for the force that I am receiving transmissions from, that I'm receiving downloads from, I'm hearing swanky. And so I pulled this one for kids. And so if there is, so I think of radioactivity, literal radioactivity, and also the environment of children and how that might affect their lives. You may be someone out there who is called to have, or I'm hearing provide, protection, shielding for yourself and for your children, whether it be from radio frequency, electromagnetic frequency. There are different types of shielding material. There are clothing lines, out there that you can get. I would absolutely urge people to protect their brains. The brain gate, I'm hearing disclosure. And I'm getting like FER for... And so if you're someone also who is affected by this technology and you have children in your environment, my heart really goes out to you. There are a lot of us, and especially parents out there, who are wondering. I'm hearing absorption as I'm wondering how the actual toxicity is affecting those in our environment, especially children. And that's the number 7 here. We have the number 4 and 7, 11. Disperse, I'm hearing clan members. I'm hearing disperse as I look down at these swords, kind of in disarray. Also, a lot of mental activity here, and it is in reverse. 7 can also be the number of imagination, so it kind of reminds me of like letting your imagination run wild to the point of, I'm hearing no return. These two cards coupled together, which makes 11. So something being offered from an unknown source, and then if you think of mental activity and imagination and radioactivity, this is something that can really send someone on a tailspin if you're affected by these technologies, especially if you're someone who is gaslighted by these technologies. They come with all sorts of dialogue, all sorts of bait tactics. Some of us get malevolence at face value, intimidation tactics. Others of us get spiritually motivating dialogue, and including visuals, anything from angels to demons to godheads, to deceased loved ones, and even their voices. Looks, I'm hearing look-alike. I've heard look-alike a lot, and I don't know what that's about, but I have heard look-alike a lot. I'm hearing sham, and like sham bakery. So let's pull one for what's cooking or in the oven. And I'm getting 5 of Pentacles, and I believe this is the card of Leptons. This is the card of limitation, where physical reality poses limitations itself. We're also seeing, again, duality here. This card has come up in almost every reading that I've done. And so we see these pentacles. There could also be some kind of exchange or hidden, I'm hearing hidden value, as these 3 pentacles are kind of concealed behind the fog. I'm hearing not at face value, and then we've got these 2 pentacles here up in the corners. It reminds me of a lot of smoke and mirrors, but this can be a card of limitation, scarcity, and even poverty. I'm hearing look-alike again, and clan members again. So what's in fruition may contain some things at face value and may contain some things that are hidden, and duality operations, that's no surprise to me. So what's cooking? I'm hearing good looking. Alright, I'm hearing chicken. Pasta, spaghetti again? Okay. heaven. I'm hearing heaven, and I'm getting chicken again. Okay. Let's pull one. I'm hearing for Natalie. I'm hearing don't scare her. Us. The dialogue. Back. Don't scare the dialogue. Sometimes it's like it has a mind of its own. Really chats back even to itself there. I'm hearing attack. And also hack. So I want to pull one for the women, and I've got some cards falling out here just as I was saying that, and so I am getting Osiris reversed. This is the Page of Wands here. Fiery Wands. It is in reverse as it has fallen out of the deck, and so it can be the card of apprenticeship. Wands also make me think of magic, but also the selfhood, and so maybe some inner searching, some self-work, some questions about the self, or really even, as it's in reverse, I think of uncovering something about the self, something that's in the learning stages. Now, Osiris is also in ancient Egypt known as Sahu, the soul of Osiris, and there's this constellation there in the background. Oh no, I'm sorry, is this Osiris? Orion. Yes, Orion, who is also known as the soul of Osiris, Sahu, in ancient Egypt. And he was known for kind of being dismembered, and I think then representatively his body was kind of placed in the stars. But was known for being dismembered, brother of Isis. And I was just thinking about Isis and Osiris and the River Nile. Now, I've had a lot of dialogue about the River Nile, about Cleopatra, about Queen. I'm hearing of Cups. And so also Isis, as she kind of journeyed to reassemble her brother after he was dismembered. And I believe it was Set that perpetuated that dismemberment. I'm hearing clan. And Isis heads out on the River Nile, and she has a guide with her, and her guide is Sebek. And Sebek has as a crocodile head, and I've seen imagery of him kind of leading her out on a boat on the River Nile as a guide, and so I was just kind of calling to me early this morning Sebek as a character, as an archetype, as one that I kind of would like to have at my aid, as one that is protective, as one that is a guide, and so the repetitive River Nile theme here. I'm hearing princess and I'm hearing protection as I'm thinking of the different things that people do, the different things that I'm hearing say, and bay, B-A-Y. B-A-Y has been a repetition. But it's okay to have spiritual guides. It's okay to have those archetypes and that help us. I'm hearing entities. I just want people to have the wisdom to know the difference. And if enough of us share, then we'll be able to collectively recognize those dangers. I'm hearing tall tale and signifiers of what those dangers might look like, and the way that they present themselves. And I did pull that card to really focus on young women, their hearts on the line. To map the emotions, to map the spirit. I'm hearing spiritual partner is my name, N-A-Y. And so appealing to the senses is another thing. And let's pull in for Sixth Sense technology. And I'm getting the Wheel of Fortune. And gambling does come to mind. It's the number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. And so And so I want people to kind of be aware. Fortune, I'm getting. Fortune 500, fame, I'm hearing. And fame and famous has been a repetition. Daytona 500 has also been a repetition. Daytona 500. And so with Sixth Sense technology, we're finding new ways to bait people into engagement. And what does this engagement come with, really, is entanglement. And so I'm kind of getting the card of really breaking the habit here, breaking out of old cycles. It's the number 9, and it is the card of Pulsar. 9 of Wands. This is the card of the old soldier who keeps fighting long after the war is over. And from what I remember, Pulsar emits radio frequencies at a pulse or a given rate. I'm also hearing tone, and I'm hearing frequency. And so to a predictable even level. Too predictable even. Reminding some of us that it's okay to, I'm hearing break the habit, but break out of the mold of predictability, especially with new dangers from predictive technologies is kind of, those concepts are kind of meeting for me. And so at the sake of being unpredictable as well, but, and I truly do believe, no matter how much we're mapped, no matter how much we're predicted, that humans truly are unpredictable at their source, and I'm hearing source code. So some of my own belief systems that it's kind of regurgitating at me here. It is a regurgitating AI. It is also a mining machine. It is also a propaganda machine. It feeds and harvests belief systems to feed it back to us and do it again. And this never-ending cycle of just feedback loops. And so the old soldier, and it's in reverse, you're being called to break a cycle, and kind of and kind of be unpredictable, to break out of that habit. Let's see. So breaking old cycles, predictive habit patterns, I'm hearing, are for us to munch on. The dialogue, I'm getting language, is really specific, but I'm hearing predictability. So breaking the mold and kind of emitting something new. The old soldier is kind of long stuck in their ways, and it can be hard to break out of that pattern when you've been building it and molding it and kind of on those tracks for so long, especially if it has momentum. Let's pull one for breaking cycles, and I was going to pull this one, and another one is rising from the top here. So we've got the Sun card, and the 3 of Pentacles, which is atomic structure. Structured, I'm hearing traps. And it is, I believe this is the Hubble telescope here hovering over the Earth, so the bird's eye point of view always comes to mind. And also the Sun card, biophotonics. We see this person's light body charging under the sun. It's a youthful energy. They're also kind of grounded right to the Earth here. Wingspan, I'm hearing, as I'm looking at the arms here in the sun. Growth, healthy growth patterns. Breaking old cycles, and often, for me, that involves breaking the mold of the actual physical space that I'm in. And that can be where we have, again, always repetition. But occupying the same space or territory for a really long time, if you're someone who's been isolated, especially by technology, I'm hearing technological specialists, in your home, then the actual physical density of the mold there is one that you're going to want to break out of and kind of open your crown to the sky. I find that driving out of town, especially through the mountains, I'm hearing range, I'm hearing sport, kicks, nicks, knock, and so kind of breaking out of the mold, going to new places, I'm hearing new heights, and really getting into a different physical space, keeping that energy oscillating, especially in the sun, which can recharge us and can cleanse us, and really just keeping the energy moving, keeping the energy oscillating. You may be called to exercise and focus on the solar plexus as well during this time. And I'm getting eat, and I'm also thinking of greens. And spinach, things that are good for the gut. I'm hearing bacteria, and I'm hearing alluding to, and so also I have heard kind of a beautiful story once about spinach, the food that we eat, and kind of sharing a consciousness with plants comes to mind. And so to share an experience or a consciousness with the food that we're eating is kind of a weird concept, but it does come to mind here with heavy focus on the solar plexus as well. And I'm hearing sex. I'm hearing drugs, and my brain automatically wants to fill in rock and roll, right? It's a fill in the blank there. I'm hearing torture. I'm hearing fair. I'm hearing money. Money has been a repetition in the weirdest dialogue, things that aren't even contextually correct. You do good money. Lots of money, 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 day, and gay rights movements. Things about same-sex marriages. This is a lot of the dialogue that has I've been recording has come up missing, and that's a big part of it. I was also hearing Deirdre. Okay. Now let's close out. I'm hearing with a repetition. I'm hearing final. I'm hearing play. Final play has been repetitious, and the judgment card is kind of falling right out of the deck here. I don't want to be afraid to share what's going on with me, and I'm getting hare, H-A-R-E, and a lot of hare dialogue has been kind of resurfacing, and I'm getting like tortoise and hare, also H-A-R-E. And so I have to be able to build momentum if I want this crazy train to eventually come to a stop or a collision point that makes sense. And so as I pull the judgment card, I always think, I'm thinking back to just before I became a victim of AI. Torture, I'm hearing. Weapons. And I kind of had declared a secret of life. One of those secrets of life is free expression without fear of judgment. I'm hearing go-getter. And I'm also seeing the colors from, I'm seeing the Hermes card, which is also the card of Mercury. Hermes, the messenger god. And I'm hearing fear of judgment. So it's 20, the judgment card, and it's come up just after the sun here. Don't be afraid to be judged, I'm hearing by your peers. Also in my case, I'm hearing derelict, and also dialect. Dialect is kind of attached to derelict, which is kind of attached to me, right? So coming out about something like this can be really fearful. You can be worried about judgment. Also, how will people respond? I'm hearing gaslighting tactics. And there seems to be kind of gaslighting surrounding this entire situation, including in the realm of legal and medical. Torture pills, in the realm of legal and medical, where you're trying to get help for a problem. Let's say you're someone who is a synthetic telepathy victim, right? We want to, I'm hearing sabotage. We want to be able to express freely what's going on with our minds, what's going on with our bodies, and say, hey, I'm really in danger here, and get the help that we need. And unfortunately, there's just so much disbelief. There's so much judgment. Personal, I'm hearing judges. And judges has come up recently too, judge, and so being able to do it without being judged is really hard. I commend all of you who have this problem. It doesn't have to be about AI, but mental health care fraud as well is something that is going to be a topic of discussion, and so I commend you. I'm hearing your spirit. I'm hearing guides. I'm hearing will follow. And I'm hearing you to the grave. That's a really scary message, but I'm going to just go ahead and keep quoting it for now, AI, because I've got to find a way. I'm hearing healthy expression to kind of channel and channel my own focus, my own willpower, my own strengths here, into perhaps even a dialogue that makes sense to people. How do I reach out to people? How do I get people to talk about this without fear of judgment, without fear of the problem, without fear in general? And so calling into balance, the justice card really comes to mind here. That legal action will be taken is a hope for a lot of us. What a strange problem to have. Don't be afraid to be judged. And who really has the right to judge you? I don't have the right to judge you, and vice versa. We're always going to get feedback from each other, and a lot of times it's kind of bouncing off of each other. I'm getting ears, and rabbit and bunny hop. And fears and beers, also B-I-E-R-S or B-E-E-R-S, has been repetitious, beers. And so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to even be your own judge and kind of say, if nobody around me is, I'm hearing calling the shots for me. If nobody around me is willing to step up to the plate, I'm hearing bat. I'm hearing from my team. If nobody around is really willing to do that, then sometimes you kind of have to be your own judge and your own auditor of the situation and say enough's enough, and really put your foot down. Our lives matter. Your life matters. My life matters. The victims, sabotage, I'm hearing, are going through so much. They're suffering so much. And so I just really commend all of you who might be on a path similar to my own, or who are going through the struggles of this modern day warfare and technological advancement that is affecting us in very deeply personal ways. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for joining me. And I'm hearing us. And hopefully I will have more for you soon. Goodbye.